Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, Realty Pros. We're back again, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to share today. We kind of went through a lot of this last time, but we got a lot more to go. So I was telling Mrs. Porter, we might have to have a part three and a part four. But we're going to get through as much as we can today, and we're going to try to make sure that everyone understands how wonderful it is when you can really feel comfortable going out door to door canvassing. Some people call it door knocking, some people call it door to door canvassing, but whatever you call it, it is very important for your business because we know that if we don't have people to talk to, if we don't have leads, if we don't have people to share this great information with, we're out of business. So we want to make sure that we have the people, we already have the information, we have the skills. So we have everything that we need to be successful, guys. So now all we have to do is just take the ball and run with it. That's all we really have to do. Mr. and Mrs. Porter has given us everything that we need. So now it's the ball's in our court. So we're going to do that. So to get started, um, as you can see, Miss Anita's going to move the slide for me. Um, the first thing that we want to make sure of, and like we talked about the last time, as far as door-to-door canvassing or door knocking, it's the mindset mastery that we want to make sure that we are well versed in. Okay, and basically, is that's just preparing yourself, preparing your mind, preparing your thoughts, what you are looking to accomplish. We don't go out just willy nilly. We, as we always say, we have a system. Save yourself time, energy, and money. So when we go out with a purpose. Okay, we go out with a reason, and we know that we have the motivation to be able to know that we want to get certain things done. Okay, so we go through our why. We talk about getting our mindset not only correct, but also thinking about what we want to share with the people that we're going to talk about too. So, first of all, we're going to go through our mindset mastery. We're going to talk about farm area selection, which is very important. Scripts and psychology of framing. You want to have a script. You want to have, a that you can utilize so you're not just all over the place. We're going to talk about objection handling, which is very important. You will get objections, but objections are fun if you make it that way. Okay. Tools and leave behinds, because we want to share information. Remember, we share information, we answer questions, and then the person can take it from there. So that's something that we make sure that we do. That's part of our whole scenario and our whole setup. And then scheduling and execution. Okay, follow up system. Again, we have to follow up. The fortune is in the follow up. Tracking and performance management. Winners keep score, losers don't care. So we have to keep score of what we're doing all the time. We can all get better with that. I know I can get better with that. And then weekly practicals. Okay. So we're going to go through all of those. I think is that it? Yeah. I think it's those nine. So we're going to go through that. So let's start with mindset mastery. Okay. You're not selling, you're serving. So important to understand that. We're servants. We're sharing information. We're changing lives. We're taking people from not knowing to knowing. You have no idea the lives and the situations that people are going through that you can help change and affect just by giving some great information. Okay, we're local advisors and educators. We're not a solicitor. That's why I never worry when I see signs that say no soliciting. I'm not a solicitor. I'm an advisor. I'm the answer man. I'm the person that's going to take your life to a whole nother level. And people love that. I love this. Every door is a relationship, not a transaction. If you look at it just as a means of making money, guys, you've missed the boat. Okay. This is a life changing information. These are relationships. And I can tell you, and when we have people here that can tell you that they've created relationships with people that they have had transactions with over and over. The relationship came first. The transaction came after, because the transaction is because of the relationship. So you never want to, you know, just throw the relationship out the door and just run to a transaction, because that's nothing. And that is what separates a realty pro from everyone else who's out here just trying to do transactions. Okay. Not putting anyone down, but some agents, that's all they do. Okay, I do a lot of transactions and they think that makes them successful. I submit to you that what makes you successful is the lives you change and the way you leave people and how they feel about you. And not only how they feel about you, but how they feel about Porterhouse. Okay, because our reputations is so important. Okay, rejection is never personal. It's misaligned. It's not failure. Let me tell you something. You will run into what some people call rejection. Okay, I don't call it rejection. There's no such a thing as rejection as far as I'm concerned. But what a lot of people think is that a person is rejecting. First of all, they're not rejecting you. They don't know you. Okay, and why would they reject you? You're a wonderful person. What they maybe think that they're doing is rejecting some of the information. And in that case, they really have no idea what they're rejecting. Because if they really knew, they would never reject it. So, what a lot of times what happens is what people think is rejection as far as an agent is really a person simply telling you, I need more information. I just don't understand. I'm not comfortable with you yet. Your job is to make me comfortable with you, comfortable with the information, so that I can at least say, if nothing else, I can take a listen to this. If nothing else, I can at least give it some thought, give it the time that it's due and that it deserves. Okay. So we never take it personally. Okay. You never get upset. Okay. People have a right to their opinion, even when their opinion is wrong. Our job is to try to help them to understand, which is the reason why we say, I understand what you're thinking. A lot of our families have thought that way. But here's the thing, when they get the information, this is what they find. Okay. Mental prep, speak affirmations. Now, my affirmations are always based on the word of God. Okay. So before I leave out, I read my scriptures. Your affirmations might be something else. Your affirmation might simply be that you affirm yourself, you affirm who you are. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But mine is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay. So, I'm blessed in the city. I'm blessed where I come. I'm blessed where I go. That's what gets me through. But I'll give you a little secret. This is what I always tell myself. And I say it to the Lord. Lord, there's no use in me going in this house if you don't go with me. Just go with me. Be with me in everything that I do. And if you do that, first of all, you'll find a peace that you cannot even explain. And you won't worry about anything, because what God has for you is for you. All right. So that's the message for the day. We can take the offering in a few minutes. Okay. But I bring value. I bring clarity. I help people win in real estate because people want to win. So I'm helping people win. And create a door knocking playlist to energize you. Okay. Now, yeah, that depends on what your musical taste is. All right. But I will say this. I'm just as bold playing my gospel music and my spirituals as loud as the people in the car next to me are playing their music loud. I'm no shame to my game, okay? Because it changes me. Music has the ability to change your mood, change your mindset, help you not to worry. And what I tell people is this: not only do you do that before you go there, but once you leave on your way home, hey, I'm just as happy, because whatever happens, you don't want to feel beat down. Let's say you just didn't get in touch with anyone. That can happen. Nobody's home. You want to make sure that you don't let things that happen affect you. Just because it's happened, that doesn't mean it's happening to me. Okay. So I speak my affirmations. I create my door knocking playlist to energize me. Okay. Next, farm area selection. Okay. Now, I didn't know about this. Miss Porter taught me about this farm area situation. Guys, I got to stop for a second because Mr. Porter just walked into the building. So everybody say hi, Mr. Porter. All right, all right. We love it when Mr. Porter's here, and he's wearing a gold jacket. That means money. So, but we do want to choose. He always he's the sharpest man in town. He's the sharpest cat in town. We always want to choose our territory wisely. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, you have to do some due diligence. Again, we don't just run out, right? We don't just go out and say, "Oh, this is a pretty neighborhood. Let's just run up in here and see what happens." We don't just throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks. Okay, we've done some due diligence. We want to know, okay, what type of neighborhood is this? Do we have a lot of homeowners? Do we have a lot of renters? How long have people been owning their home in this neighborhood? Do you think they're ready to upscale? Do you think they're ready to downsize? All of those things go in. So 500 to 1,000 homes. You want to have an area that has enough homes where you can be out there and you can, get enough possibles, okay? Because it's so many out of so many. It's a numbers game. If I go down in a neighborhood and there's maybe 20, 25 homes in there, okay, I may be successful and give you something, sure. But I can up my odds by just doing a little bit of prep work and seeing how many people doors I have to knock on. Remember, when we go out, we're knocking on doors. We're knocking on doors. We're not just going and top and, oh well, let me stop, let me go get something to eat or what have you. When we go out, we're going out with a purpose. Okay. Everybody say hi to Mrs. Porter. She just came in. I gotta stop for Mrs. Porter, our wonderful broker. I was just telling them, Mrs. Porter, you taught me about farming area, so we're gonna really jump on that. The major thing is the major thing about your farming area is making sure that you're comfortable in the area. It's more than just knocking on doors. You want to be in the area. Maybe you want to go to the stores in the area so people can see you, so they can know that you are the real estate professional serving this area. So when I knock on your door, maybe you've seen me at the store. Maybe you've seen me at the dry cleaners. Maybe you've seen me at the gas station. But I'm wearing my gear that explains who I am. Okay, that says I'm with Porterhouse International Realty Group. So now, maybe now I'm not a stranger anymore when I knock on your door. You've seen my face, you've seen my shirt, you've seen something because you know that I'm in the neighborhood. Plus, you're not worried about who is this guy who's walking through the neighborhood. Oh, I know that guy. I've seen him before. He's been in the area. Okay. You want the 7 to 10 turnover rate. Okay. Here's the clue. Once you do your due diligence, you will know, as I've said, who's been living there, how long they've been living there. We sometimes you may think that everybody in this neighborhood is buying. You don't even know that there's a lot of renters in there. They've been renting, and here's the good news: renting a house. People renting a house. First of all, they're used to owning having a home. They know what comes along with being in a home. They're used to, hey, this is what I have to fix. This is what I have to do. This is what I don't have to do. Plus, if you're paying the rent for a single family home, you can pay the mortgage for a single family home. It's the same thing. It's just a different word. Okay. I'm renting, I'm buying. Okay. So it's a very easy transition a lot of times to take people's mindset from being a renter to a buyer because a lot of people feel like it's their home anyway. I know growing up, when we were renting houses, my dad made us feel like this, wherever we live and where we stay, that's ours. Okay, it's not a thing. Well, this is somebody else's house, and we weren't raised like that, and I'm sure a lot of you weren't either. We take ownership even when we really don't financially and in writing have ownership, right? So that's a lot an easier transition. Okay. So we want to make sure of that. We want to make sure there's subdivisions. How old are they? What's the lifestyle? Okay. Are there a lot of children in the neighborhood? So we want to know when we're talking to people, we want to make sure that we make certain bullet points about the schools, or we want to make sure that we make bullet points about the community and what's available. So those are all the things that you want to make sure that you already have situated. You've already done your prep work. So you're not going into that community and you don't know anything. Okay. You walk up to people and you're trying to talk to them about the homes or what happens in this community, and you don't know anything. But when how did you like the fact that they just built that new subway down the street? Okay. How do you like the fact that they've just brought some other new restaurants in? How do you like the fact that the school just went up and they've just increased the student population? Now you know some things. We have some things that we can talk about now. Okay. People feel comfortable with you. Okay. And that's so important. So next. It's okay. That's okay. Now, when you choose your territory, there's some tools that we can use. You know that we can use the MLS hot sheet data. We know that we can use Realtors Property Resource. There's Remind. Um, I've used MLS. I think a lot of us have used that. But here's the key. You don't have to go into this and do all and try to make, how am I going to do this? You don't have to start from scratch, so to speak. A lot of the information that you need has already been provided for you. All we have to do is take advantage of what's been provided. Okay, so a lot of times people think that it's difficult. It's like anything else. What makes a job, in any job, difficult or easy is the having the right tools. If you have the right tools, you can cut down a 10-foot tree. If you don't have the right tools, you're going to be out there having a problem. So what we always do is we say we want to have the right tools, and then we want to sharpen our axe, because the sharper your axe, the easier it is to chop down that tree. So how do we sharpen our axe? Well, we make sure that we become familiar with the different venues that we have that we can utilize. Okay. So make sure you become familiar with the MLS hot sheets. Make sure you become familiar with our RPR. That's the one I want to try to do because I haven't done that one. So we want to make sure that we become familiar with that. And I won't go into depth with that because I want to get through everything, and maybe we'll circle back. But Mrs. Porter has done some great trainings on that. So all of our trainings have been recorded. Scripts and psychological framing, the VEAL formula. What is the VEAL formula? Well, as you can see, it's value. You give people a reason to engage. Educate. You share a recent stat or trend. You ask for permission to follow up. And then you light CTA, simple action they can say yes or no to. Okay. I want to give a couple of things with this. First of all, value. We bring value. Okay. We bring value because the information that we have is valuable. We bring value because we're going to share something with you that we're going to leave with you. It's value. It may be just a um, comparative market analysis of your property. Well, that's valuable. That's valuable for people to know. I didn't know my house sold for that. I didn't know the house around the corner sold for that. So that gives people a reason to engage you. Okay. You want to educate. Okay. You want to share a recent stat or trend. So you want to let people know that you're up to date with the various stats. Okay. I know what the interest rates are. Okay. I know what the taxes are in this county. I know what it costs for the homeowners insurance for homes of this size. You want to make sure that you're sharing recent stats or trends. Then ask permission to follow up. when would be the best time for me to come back out and bring you this great information and share a few things with you? We could discuss. I can answer any questions that you have, and then I'll be on my way. What would be best for you? Would Monday, like today, be good for you, or would Tuesday be better? Okay. You want to get that information because now what you're doing is I'm asking you for permission to keep this dialogue going. I want to be able to keep, I want to be able to keep the dialogue going until you either tell me, you better get out of here before I call the police, which they never gonna do, or until you tell me, listen, why don't you come in and sit down? Let's talk about this. My husband will be, if it's a lady, my husband will be home about 5 o'clock. I talked to him the other day when you first came, and he definitely said that 6 or 7 o'clock this evening would be good, or what would be good. So you want to make sure that you ask for permission. But when you're asking for permission, come back. You have to have done the other prep work to make sure that you're going to bring them some information that they want, that they feel is valuable. I've had people tell me, no, 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 can't you come back this evening? That's when you really know that they're kind of ready, because we never know what people have been thinking about before we came. See, and I've had more people, and I'm sure you have too, have said, you know what, me and my husband was just talking about that this weekend. We were talking about this house is really getting too small. The kids are getting too big. It was a blessing that you came. It must have been the God sent you, whatever, because you're you're showing up, you're sharing information, you're answering any questions that they have, and then you're asking for permission to come back. And then light CTA, simple action that they can say yes to. Now, I never called it that. I like that. But what I can say is this: if you can get people saying yes, if you do this, they do this. If you do this, they do that. So you want to say, this is a beautiful area, isn't it? I'm sure that you really love it out here. Is it always this quiet out here? Yeah, I love this. And then I might say, when I first moved out in my community, it was quiet too. I had to get used to it. But now I love it. And people will just, now I got you. If I get you to do three things, if I get you to say yes, if I get you nodding your head, if I get you kind of leaning forward, gotcha, gotcha. Because I want you engaged. I want you to want this. I want you to see how important this is. Okay. So simple script. Hi, I'm I'm Jasmine Porter with Porter House. I love it. I help homeowners in this area understand what their homes are really worth. What is that? That is giving people comparison market analysis. Okay. Especially now that prices have shifted. I love that because she didn't say prices went up. She didn't say prices went down. She's saying prices have shifted. They've always shifted. We what we're going to make sure you understand is they've shifted into your favor, because it's always your favor. Doesn't matter and listen, we all know interest rates don't matter. Am I right? They've always shifted in your favor. Okay. The second thing that really makes this much better is because people weren't expecting you to say that. I'm here because a lot of people trying to sell their house. Have you been thinking about selling your house? Upset? Why not? No, that's what we're not saying. But people expect that to be what you're saying. So that really catches them a little bit off guard. And it's a softer approach. People do not want you to come at them. They want you to talk to them. Okay. I have a quick neighborhood update and would love to send you a custom report for your home. Remember, custom report for your home. See, words are strategic. And if you say them correctly with the right emphasis, you can turn people all the way around. You can have them in the palm of your hand and you can turn them whichever way you wish. Okay. And it's not that we're trying to take advantage of people. It's not that we're trying to be anything that's not upfront and above board. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to help people think about it a different way. Hmm. We're trying to help them think about it a different way. We're trying to help people have that aha moment of the soul where they say, that's why so many people are buying now. That's why I should be taking advantage of this. Okay. And then we say, can I email that to you? We always want to ask a question that we can get an affirmative response, because now you've given me permission. You've given me permission to email it, because if I email it to you, I have to follow up with it. I have to come back and first of all, I have to make sure you got the email. So I can come back to your door and just knock on your door, reintroduce myself, and say, if you remember, a few days ago, we stood right here on the porch, and I shared some information with you, and I promised you that I was going to email you some additional information, and I wanted to be a man of my word. Did you receive what I sent you? You know, what did you think about it? Now we're going to start having a little bit of conversation right at the door. Sometimes you might even want to have what you sent them right with you. So if they say they didn't receive it, oh, good, I got a copy right here. Okay. If you have some time right now, I'd love to come in and share it and talk to you about it. So those are things that gets people, because a lot of times people think, no, I ain't get nothing. Oh, well, I have it right here. Ah, gotcha. Right? Not gonna be playing with me. I did. I know what I said. I know. Now I don't do the computer, but I know what I do know how to send stuff, Mr. Porter. I do know how to send stuff. Okay. All right. All right. Now objection handling. Okay. Here's the thing. Change your mindset. No such thing as an objection. You get your mind really. I'm serious. People say, yeah, they are. Change your mindset. There's no such thing as an objection. All it means is that people need more information, because everybody knows that it makes sense. Home ownership, whether you do it or not, makes sense. So I'm not objecting to that. I'm not objecting to any of that. It may be now is not a good time. It may be I wasn't thinking about this and you caught me off guard. It may be I don't think I can do it because of income constraints, job, or whatever. But that's not an objection. That just simply means we need to have a little bit more conversation going on here. Okay. That's why anytime what one of the keys that we do and that we always try to do, especially at Porterhouse, anytime that anyone says something like a no or what, I understand. We always understand. Okay. So we might use feel, felt, found. Okay. What we always do is we restate, because if they say, well, I'm not interested. Oh, I understand. So I guess if I'm hearing you right, this is just not a good time for you. They didn't say it wasn't a good time. They said they weren't interested. But you're not going to tell me you're not interested. I have to take that and restate it and soften it and do like this, so they can say, yeah, exactly. Okay, great. I understand exactly what you're saying. Timing is everything. But what I want like to do is find out, because this information is so crucial, it's so important, and it's so valuable, that I would like to find a time where I can at least get this to you. It's like my folks used to say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I at least want you to have it. And then whatever you think is best, you can do that. Does that make sense? If that doesn't get them, listen, you know what, Mrs. Porter, I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of them feel exactly the way you feel. And what I found and what they found is, after we've had a little bit of conversation, they found that, okay, then that was good. I didn't know that my house was this valuable. I didn't know what my neighbor around the corner sold their house for. Okay, I'll take some information. Me and my husband will go through it, and we'll get back with you and let you know what we think. Okay. Um, we're not selling. I'm fantastic. You found the home that you really love. That's a wonderful thing. Congratulations. I know a lot of people who have done that, especially in this community, because the community is so beautiful. But let me ask you a question. Um, when people have sold in this community, just in chatting with them, what was the reason why they sold? Was that their children left? They were empty nesters? Was it thing? Hopefully not, that maybe there was a divorce or there was something going on in the family, in the community. Because what we've noticed is that when people do sell, they have a reason, because we know life happens. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where life happens, it would be good, I think you'll agree, to at least have some information. Okay, we're not hoping for that, but we always have to be prepared for everything that life can throw our way. Am I right? So here's one thing I would love to share with you. If you hold on to this information, or if you know anyone who has not reached the level of being in a community and a home that they really love, and they are looking, please send them my way. I will serve them the same way I would serve you. Okay. We have an agent. Great. You definitely want to have great representation. If there's anything changes, or if you just want to hear, get a second pair of eyes on some information, or if you just want to ask a question and get a second opinion, I'm available. By all means, give me a call. I will share some information with you. You can still use the agent that you're using, but it's always good that if something maybe sounds just a little bit off, we're here. Okay. And then the last thing, I'm busy. You know what? I respect your time. As a matter of fact, that's the reason why when I came out, one of the first things I wanted to let you know is I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I know you're busy. What I wanted to very quickly do is share some quick information with you. And then when the time is right and you have some time, you can always give me a call back and we'll set up a time that will be convenient for you, but we can really sit down and take our time because this is so important. We wouldn't want to rush through it anyway. Am I right? So here's some of my information. When the time is right, you call me and let me know. All right, tools and leave behinds. You got to leave people something. People will forget. People won't remember that you came by. They won't remember all the conversation. Now, if you've done this correctly, they'll remember you. Okay. They'll feel comfortable with you, but they may not remember and they definitely may not be able to share it with a loved one. I'm giving you information that I have learned from the years of being in this business. It's not fair for me to think that you're going to be able to tell your husband everything that I share with you. He's going to just say, "Oh yeah, somebody that came to the door and got you, girl, and you come to talk about. I told you don't be opening the door anyway." But here's the thing: when you can leave something, now they have evidence. Now they have something that can say, "Well, they showed us this. It's in black and white. This is what they're going to do. They're going to give us a comparative market analysis for our house, or they're going to show us a home that they sold in the community. You remember we were wondering how much that home sold for and who sold that house around the corner because it seemed like it came on the market and went right off the market. Here's some information. So now we know somebody because most people just walking around, a lot of people do, a lot of people know real estate agents, but a lot of people don't. Okay. You may be the only real estate agent they really came in contact with. And let me tell you, a lot of people who do know real estate agents, it may not be a good thing. Okay. They may have had a bad experience, or somebody may, or they've heard the way they know about them is someone told them, girl, you don't want to use that person. They didn't do us right at all. So you just don't know. I just want you to have my information. Angela and I did a we it wasn't even really a buyer's consultation. We were just going by for listing, and the gentleman very quickly said he had already talked to someone. And here's what he said: he said they didn't share any of the information with me that you guys did. They didn't. I didn't. They didn't do any of this. And we weren't there 10, well, it was longer than that because me and Angela both can talk, but we shared some great information. So you want to make sure you do that. Um, Vendors list, cleaners, painters, landscapers. You run into everybody that we see. I got a list of people, especially people who are in construction, people who are handymen, all of these folks that do all of these different things. You definitely want to know them. You first of all, you want to talk to them because a lot of them are investors. A lot of them, if they did want to be investors, they can do all the work themselves and save a lot of money. A lot of them have client lists where the clients are trying to, get their house ready to put it on the market. So you want to make sure that you have a network of people that you can reach out to. Okay. We do market report postcards, quick, easy, simple. You can take it, you can put it in your pocket, you can do whatever you want to do, and people can have that. A lot of times people will keep your business cards, a lot of times they won't. Okay. So it's to have a backup, or the next time I'm in the neighborhood, since you're busy, if it would be all right if I just left something right there at the door, right in the door. Can't put stuff in the mailbox, but you can leave stuff at the door. Okay. And business cards with handwritten "Nice to meet you." That reminds me of Angela Skipper and Darlene. They do all that good stuff. And the leader too. Scheduling and execution. Best time to knock. Now, I agree with this, but I will add this. The best time to knock is anytime you knock. Okay? The best time is because it's hard to really tell when people are available and what they do. I will say that what you will find is that you get a lot of response in the evenings, weekdays, 4 to 7. That's very true, especially in this time of year because it stays light. You'll even find people outside, people watering their grass, people washing their car, people are doing all kinds of things. So weekdays from 4 to 7, that's good. All right. Now, when you're dealing with that, understand that sometimes people just got home and they're a little tired. Sometimes people have just got home. They got to get the kids. They got to get the dinner. They got to do this. They got to do that. Dinner hour used to be dinner hour was 6 to 7. That has changed. People eat all kinds of times now, but you still have to be cognizant of that. So when people tell you, there's certain things when people tell you, you just let it go. We're eating now. Well, you don't keep talking. I'll come back at another time. And always ask when would be a better time, and always give them an option. So let me ask you: would 7:30 be a better time for you, or would 8 o'clock be better? Let them pick. Keep them in control. You're not telling a person when I'm coming back. Well, I'll be back at 7:30. No. You want to make sure that people know that you are concerned about their schedule and how busy they are. Okay. Saturdays are very, very good. If you're not doing an open house, Saturdays 10 to 2, excellent time. Okay. People have gotten up, they've done what they had to do, a little running around, they've gotten back. That's always good. Sundays after church. Okay. Depending on the church. My church, you're not gonna catch because we stay. We stay a long time. But usually Sundays after church are very, very good. Now, some people they don't want to talk about anything business related on a Sunday. That's the Lord's day, and they think that means, and I understand totally in agreement. We don't do anything on Sundays. You know what? I was raised that way, and the only reason why I came out is because I had a couple of people who told me they did want me to come on Sundays, and I figured while I was out here, I just knock on a couple of doors and just say hi and introduce myself. But what I will do is this: let me leave you my card, and then one day during the week that's better for you, we can get back together. Is that all right? Make them say yes. If they say no, oh, okay, I understand. So you're like me. You're busy all the time. You never have any time, huh? Well, I've had to find some time to do some things that are important, and I'm sure you do as well. But I tell you what, you still hold on to my card because you never know. Things may change. If they do change, by all means, give me a call, and you just keep it moving, guys. Nothing gets me. Nothing rattles me. You want to see somebody who's smooth, calm, collected all the time? This my broker right here. I'll never forget. She did a call right here. The guy was obnoxious. He ended up falling in love with her. He ended up. She set an appointment. He was ready to go. I think he ended up buying everything. And look, it wasn't because he saw her. He couldn't see her. He couldn't see how pretty she was. So that didn't matter. And here's the thing, she was so professional, and she did not allow anything that he said to move her off her thing. He was talking, he said all that, and she, as if she was saying, yeah, I heard you. Okay, and back to what I was saying. And that's the way you have to be. Okay. I'm sure she's gonna do one that I would love for her to do another one day and do a thing. Anyway, stand back 3 feet. Let me say this: when you go up to a door, when you go up to door knocking, there's some protocols and there's some body language that you want to make sure that you engage in. Okay. So first of all, like it says, you want to stand back 3 feet. You don't want to be up on people. You don't want to be up on people. That's the first thing. Okay. Now the way I've always done it, especially with ladies or men, it doesn't matter. If a person, first of all, when you come to the door, if they talk quiet, you kind of talk a little quiet. If they're a little bit louder, you can be a little bit louder. But the second thing is you step back. Hello, how are you? You make sure you introduce yourself quickly, because what people want to know is who are you, what do you want, why are you here, and what benefit does it have for me? And I just get a few minutes, seconds sometimes even, to be able to do that. So I got to be quick. I can't be too fast while I'm rushing. Yeah, my name is Mr. McPayne, but hello, how are you? My name is Kermon McPayton. I'm with Porterhouse International Realty Group. And I was going through the neighborhood, just chatting with some of the neighbors, sharing with them some information about the value of their homes now in today's market. And I would love to get some information out to you as well. We have a comparative market analysis that will tell you all the ins and outs and gives you all the complete information so that when the time is right, you can take this information and use it any way you need to. When would be a great time for me to stop by and get that? I can send it to you by email or I can drop by and bring it to you. But I would really rather bring it to you if I can, because it'll give me a chance to really explain some things to you and share with you what you're really looking at. What would be better for you? Because I always like to give people a choice. In the days when people email, just email it to me. Well, you don't have to say that because I've already said I can do that. So what I want to make sure is I give you that. Now, smile. That's so important. It's very hard for people to frown and scowl if you're smiling. Very hard. You'll always run into the exception, but the rule is if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. If you're a professional, I'll be professional. Okay? Scripture says a soft answer turns away wrath. Okay? You don't know, people may have had a bad day. People may have had everything. You got to smile. It's going to be all right. It's okay. Every day above ground is a good day. So we want to make sure that we let people know. We shake hands, and you got to be careful. You don't break a hand. That's what we always used to say. Don't break a hand. Shake a hand. Okay. So you want to shake the hand firmly, but you don't squeeze. I'd say that's for a lot of my guys. They try, especially with men, with another man. They trying to you don't do all that. Shake a hand. Okay. Um, Make sure that when you knock on the door, you don't bang on the door. Okay? Don't bang on the door. Most of the time we knock, pop, 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 pop. No more than four. That's it. You don't want to be. That's the police. Listen. That's the police. That's the police knock. If you do that, don't be surprised whatever response you get, because that's the police. That's why they don't answer the door. And you hear all kinds of stuff in it. First of all, people gonna come to the door and they who is this banging on my door? Oh, that's Oh, hi, I'm Mr. McPay reporter. Oh, they don't want to hear it. Okay, so you got to be very careful how you do that. If no one answers, what you want to do is you want to do two things. First of all, you want to kind of remember that because you'll know that maybe not a good time. Okay, nobody, especially if you're going out a couple of times. If you work in your farming area and you notice that, every time I hit maybe at 4, then the other time I did at 5, and neither time no one answers, then I may know they might be people who are earlier or later. Always keep in mind, a lot of people sleep in the afternoons because they work the night shift. It's really bad when you woke someone up because you were knocking on their door. Okay? That's why I say you don't knock more, because if you do that, you might be waking them up. And that's not a good thing. They're not going to come to the door smiling, and they're not going to want to hear whatever you have to say. Okay? Okay? Follow-up system. Right? We say the fortune is in the fifth follow-up. I like that. Okay? We always say the fortune is in the follow-up, but here's the thing. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Okay? If you think you're going to go out here and you're going to knock on the door and they're going to open the door and you're going to hear music playing like the heavenly harps, and they're going to be like, we were waiting for you, and so I'm glad you're here, and can I feed you and all. Now that has happened to me though. I'm not going to kid you. That has happened. Okay? It is very possible, but you're not going to make a living expecting that. Let's put it that way. So you have to understand that you have to really follow up with people. Okay. People, here's the thing. People are afraid to make decisions and here's the reason. First of all, a lot of people don't trust their own decision making process because they really don't know how to vet and make a decision. But the second reason is because people have a huge fear of disappointment. In real estate, the biggest thing that I hear people say is, well, I wanted to buy a property before I tried that and it just didn't work. And I got my hopes up and I can't go through that again. Okay. Got my hopes up and it didn't work. My credit wasn't good. I didn't have the money. I had me all excited and everything. And I couldn't do it. We got to help you get past that. Okay. We got to help you understand. I understand that was a valid fear that happened, but we can't stop our life. We have to, forgetting those things that are behind, we press on. Okay. That's what we have to do. And that's what we have to get them to do. So that's why we have to follow up. Initial knock, you get your name, you get the email, you get the phone number. Day one, you send a nice to meet you text, email with the report. Day 7, you send a follow-up email, how the report look. Day 30, monthly market update or home buyer invite. Day 60, personalized check-in, any real estate questions lately, and ongoing. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you have to use these dates, exactly, but you get the point of following up. We just don't do a one hit wonder where we just come out one time, get you, maybe call you once. If you say it's not a good time, we just like, okay, fine. The only time I do that is if they have a no that is very, very, very strong. If you tell me, listen, I just bought this house, not doing anything, don't know anybody, not interested, please don't. Okay, next. But you want to make sure that you are sending something. And all this really is that, again, we have a system. You are systematically sending people information so they remember you, your name, your face, what you have, all of that. I want you to constantly be thinking on a regular basis about me and the information and what I can do for you. Okay. I don't want to do it so much where I'm a burden, but I want to do it enough where I'm someone that you realize is a professional and I'm here and you're going to be ready. You told me one day you were going to be ready. When that day comes, I don't want you to have to look for my information. I don't want you to have to look for me or what was that guy's name? Oh, girl, so many people come through. The next agent that you meet, I don't want them to even be able to talk to you. No, I deal with Mr. McPayton. I've been talking to Mr. McPayton. First of all, people will feel guilty because he's put in all the legwork. He's put in all the time and the emphasis. I'm not going to go over here to somebody I don't even know, sight unseen. You could be anything. I know Mr. McPayton because if he works for me as hard as he worked to get me, and as hard as he worked to stay in touch with me, then I'm sure he's going to do all the other stuff too. He's not going to get and then drop the ball then. I don't know what you might do. Okay. So that's all it is. Systematic. I know I'm going to receive something and I'm going to give you a call. I do more calling than I would do that because I love to talk and people love to talk to me. And hey, how you doing? Miss McPayton, Miss McPayton? Yeah, I did get your information. Okay, good. Just checking in. And here's the other thing. You don't have to say what you just sent. If I just sent you some information, I don't have to say, now let me go back through it with you. No, people can read, they understand. What I do is I say, you got the information. Did you have any questions? Do you need any further information? Is the time right? Are we coming up on that time when you're really starting to look at this and are you getting ready? You getting ready to get ready? I might do that. Okay. Next, tracking and performance. I was sharing with people earlier, I'm not a paper guy as much as I should be. Just going to be transparent. I'm a hands-on, visual, in front of you type of person. I tell my wife all the time, she says, you know, you're going to have to get better at remembering names, but I remember faces. So, and I can remember where I saw you. So when I start saying where I saw you and what we talked about and stuff, people start to, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When I was a young guy, before I got married, and I was walking up to young ladies saying, "Don't I know you somewhere? I don't know your name, but look, I know your face. Look, don't tell me I don't know your face. I know you." That didn't work too well. Um, so what I learned to do is I say this: do I look familiar to you? I put it on them. Do I look a little familiar to you? A little bit.